The main numbers are in, and the story continues to be a balanced market. Sales were down slightly compared to last year. Inventory remains elevated. Home prices have been relatively stable month over month. The Bank of Canada has held its overnight rate at 2.25% since October. Unemployment has edged up to nearly 7% nationally. So we're getting into a slowing economy. Today, we'll discuss why detached homes are holding up, why condos continue to lag, and what buyers and sellers can expect heading into the summer market. Have we seen that initial uptick getting into spring and into summer, guys? Let's start there.
Yeah, I think May was a really busy month for the Patti Martin Real Estate Group. I think we saw, lots of uptick in sales. But it was kind of like it was our turn. It was our seller's turn, I would say. But yeah, I think we saw a little bit more activity. What do you guys think?
Well, I think what's happened is that people are adjusting prices. That's what's happened.
Yes.
And so as they adjust, they sell.
Yeah.
And we talk about this. I talk about this. I really, this is the most I've ever talked to sellers about price adjustments.
Okay.
I'm making myself sick about it. Never mind what I'm doing to them. But the reality is we have a job to do. We have to carefully evaluate the market. We can see across the board, detached, attached, wherever you are in the valley, here, there, everywhere, about 1 in 10 listings are selling. That's kind of the number. So we know that 2 or 3 out of the 10 are probably never going to sell because their prices are too high or they don't clean up their home to sell it. But so, that kind of helps a little bit there. The reality is every time we get to an adjustment that makes sense for the market, it sells immediately. It sells immediately. So, and people are listening. And I think what will happen is the new prices will inspire the new listings to be a bit more correct. And that could help, build up momentum in the market. But yes, definitely, if we adjust the price and it's the right price, it's sold immediately. And that's
right.
amazing.
Yeah, there's definitely still an appetite for buyers in this market. Over the month, sales have actually increased for the 4th consecutive month. So there's still this momentum to sales. There was a total of 2,150 sales in May. It's a 3.5% decrease from this time last year. So we're trending on that pace. 2% increase month over month. So there's that month over month increase in sales. We are still nearly 27% below the 10-year average. The interesting thing, Patti, and that you just mentioned this in what you were just saying, detached sales have edged up about 1% in activity in sales month over month, while condos have gone down 7% year over year. So why do we think condo sales are actually faltering while that detached home sales are increasing?
It's purely a factor of inventory. So we've seen a huge increase in inventory in the number of attached properties over the last 6 months, but we haven't seen very much in the way of detached. I was doing an evaluation the other day, and at the end of May, just as an example, in Richmond, there were like 580 homes for sale, let's say. We're well over 600 now. I did it.
Is that for detached?
Today. And so it's that time of year where people might say, look, at the end of the day, there's still people that want to move. And are they going to wait? This is the question. Are you going to wait 3 or 4 years for this market to recover and put your life on hold because you have something you want to do? Are you going to wait that out? Because you can't. But why? The reality is whatever you sell for is what you're going to buy for. And you're making it up on the other side. So I'm telling people, do not put your life on pause, your quality of life at jeopardy because the price isn't what you thought it should be. It is what it is. And that's the reality. And then you're going to buy for that price as well and move on with your life. Unless you're 20. Right. You can do whatever you want. But, it just, we see this over and over. People are, I'm going to wait. I'm not sure what they're waiting for. And
Mhm.
so, because I don't think it's going to change. I don't think it's horrific. I don't think the sky is falling. We talk about this every month. There's enough stability in our market that people can hold on. People have enough equity in their homes that they can hold on.
Mhm.
Maybe they have a little less disposable income because of the economy, but they're able to keep their homes. We don't see a massive, oh my gosh, I can't make my mortgage payment. None of that happens.
Mhm.
But, well, maybe some of it does, but very little. But really, your life is important. Your quality of life is important. Do what's right for you at the right time. End of story.
It's a fantastic tip. When we're talking about the condo market, do you think this is becoming the best opportunity for buyers or even first-time buyers in 2026?
I feel like I sound like a broken record. I mean, I've been encouraging buyers now for months. One of the real things that I've noticed, one of the things I've noticed in real estate over all these years is when everybody is doing something, you might want to think about doing something differently. And one of
Hmm.
those things is if everybody is not buying, then buy. This is such a unique opportunity. We're seeing this. We see this with our listings. We see this with our buyers. The word opportunity, I also sound like a broken record using that again, but I haven't seen prices like this in a long time. And even when the price is where it is, there's still some negotiating room, which is it's unheard of. So if you are a first time buyer, if you've got it together, get off the fence and start buying before everybody else does, because it will happen.
Before all the good stuff is gone.
The
So
good stuff is gone. Yeah.
Jen was working one of our listings in Steveston,
Mhm.
and a lovely young woman came in, and we had just adjusted the price, and she came in and she bought it immediately, and
Mhm.
she's over the moon. And my
Yes.
clients who are selling it are over the moon because someone who has been waiting to buy for a couple of years got
Yes.
into the market. She's
Yeah.
a young person with a job in Richmond, local kid. Like, it's a beautiful story. And it's finally at that place where people can afford again. And it's a nice story, right, Jen? It's a beautiful.
It's a great story.
Yeah.
Yeah. And the irony, Patty, is I probably showed that to 20 different groups, and
Mhm.
the first 19 came in, and you know what they do? They pick it apart. They
Hmm.
wouldn't see that it was this fantastic layout with a really lovely outlook. Instead, they'd come in and they would nitpick all these strange things. And this buyer, absolutely not. The 20th person walked in and said, "Oh, I love this feeling. It's cozy." And so she knew after 2 years of looking, boom, this was her home. It
Mhm.
is. This is one of the rewarding parts of our job for sure
Mhm.
to see that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. It was a nice story.
Yeah.
When we're talking about buyer motivation, like everybody else is in different phases of their search, from just starting and nitpicking everything to then you find this match made in heaven here for the buyer. Are today's buyers waiting for lower rates, lower pricing, something else, a feeling, a vibe? Like, what is that kind of catalyst?
I hope they're not waiting for lower rates. I mean, I'm not sure economic factors are pointing us in that direction. I think we do have rate stability, and wake up, everybody. 5% and under are wonderful rates. So, please don't tell. Maybe it's because I'm too old, but those are wonderful rates. They are rates that we can work with our jobs, with our disposable incomes, and all that kind of stuff. It's just not that scary, and people should be a lot more scared that they could go up. And so for that reason, they should get pre-approved and they should make it happen. Yeah, I mean, I think it's the time.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree.
Okay.
I agree.
When we're looking at inventory on the market, there were just over 6,100 new homes, or sorry, not new homes, but homes newly listed for sale on the MLS. It's 7.6% decrease from last year and an 8.5% decrease month over month. For total inventory, there's just under 17,000, so 16,917 listings. Year over year, we're down 1%. So again, we're tracking on pace for what happened last year. Month over month, we're actually up 4.5%. Now, for total inventory, this is the 5th consecutive month of inventory increases. When we're looking at new listings that are down nearly 8% from last year, Are sellers holding off because they're waiting for better market conditions? And Patti, you just talked about this, about people saying, ooh, I'm going to wait for a better market to move on with my life.
Mm-hmm.
Is this really what they're holding on to, where they think they can get a little bit of a higher price? Do our sellers realize that if they're buying in the same market within a few months, now's the opportunity, because there's negotiating, like everything's, I should say everything in brackets is negotiable. Is there something else at play?
You know, we have to remember we live in an area where we're very proud of how much our properties are worth.
Yes.
Like, you go anywhere in the country,
go to a dinner party,
go anywhere in the States, you know, you talk about it, they're like, oh my God, because we live in a beautiful place and you have to pay for it. So, I mean, it's like anything, the harder it falls, the harder people have to kind of process it, like the longer they need to process it. So I really think that's really what's happening. I think people had and have to process that we've had a shift, and nobody in the whole wide world likes to go backwards. Nobody.
Right. Of course. Unless it's Patti fees.
Well, that never happens. So we know that,
rarity.
right? Mm-hmm. So I do think we need to like understand that there's a time factor to that.
Yeah.
And it gets back to what I was talking about. Do you want to wait 4 years?
Yeah.
I think everybody needs 3 to 6 months to process what's happened and then decide.
Absolutely.
So we do, as I said, we have good staying power. Sure, you know, people can stay, they make that choice. But is it a good decision? I don't know. It's very individual, right? It's very individual. And it always comes back to the very same thing I say every time we are on this podcast. You move when it's right for you. And you just block out the noise, because everything will even itself out.
I think when we look at buyers and sellers, I think the most challenged person who's considering selling real estate right now is a person who purchased something in the last 5 years, and for whatever reason, it can be anything, that they suddenly are considering a sale. So let's say that they bought something, they had a tenant, they now are finding rents are coming down, their mortgage renewed, and it's costing a little bit more. And suddenly they're saying, you know, I'm not sure this investment makes sense to me. And we're having these conversations. Is it better for me to get that investment out of the real estate market and into something else? And this is the person who kind of, it's a tricky choice, you know. Is it better to pull that money out? And this is only after kind of looking at their whole financial picture, if we can kind of advise them correctly. But that's a hard decision to make right now. Yeah, especially if it was an investment. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but it's the same thing. We're terribly spoiled here. Yeah, we haven't had a lot of down markets, and not for a very long time. Yeah. And so people have this expectation that it will continue to rise and never go down, and that's an unrealistic expectation.
Right.
Has the spring listing surge finally peaked, or could you think we could see another wave of inventory hitting the summer?
I mean, based on my phone, I mean, I think we still have inventory to come on. I think you would agree, Patti. I think we've had evaluations, and I feel like we're going to have a bit more inventory. But my understanding when we talk to economists and leading voices in real estate is we may have what I'll call a traditional summer, where it does slow down, and then we see a lot more activity in September and October. But I don't know. What do you guys think?
Yeah, we cannot predict activity, right?
Yeah.
We've had August that we didn't stop. We thought we were going to go sit at a lake somewhere, and that never happened. So, so I hate to predict anything, because I do think as the market cleans up, as people get more realistic, as the sellers start to really evaluate, am I going to hold on for a price that's unrealistic, or am I going to look at what's happening in real time and adjust? And I think we're seeing a lot of that adjustment, right? I think we are. That's why we're seeing the activity that we are. That's it.
With inventory actually sitting 35% above like the long-term averages, why do we think prices haven't fallen as dramatically?
Staying power. Like people don't
Yeah.
have to sell. I mean, remember we did something a couple of weeks ago, and we were as a group trying to determine where the buyer would start at the price, and we started high, saying, let's see that what will happen is we'll know by what their answer is whether they have to sell or just want to sell, right? And that's so because we never know. We never know, right? We don't have that information for our buyers. We only know that they're for sale, but we don't know their urgency. And so that's how things get moved quicker. That's how prices fall quicker, if there's a sense of urgency. I don't think there is a sense of urgency for most of the market, for most of the sellers.
Okay. The board has come out and said that year-to-date sales have come in just shy of our forecasts to this point of the year. And they're also saying that demand is tracking the forecasts closely, that it's reasonable to expect a calm and orderly summer market. There's no obvious near-term catalyst looming over the horizon that could sway the market. Looking at that market in the future, and again, I know we don't have a crystal ball, but what do you think could disrupt the market in the second half, positively or negatively?
And this is at the very tail end of the second half. I want to watch what the feds come out and say about the foreign buyer ban. I've never received so many calls in my career from local clients of ours who have family members from the States that would like to buy. So I don't know, I don't know if we all of a sudden see people from Asia coming back or what's going to happen. But I do think this idea of following some kind of a model like New Zealand or some of the other countries where they do allow foreign buyers to purchase new builds. So this will gobble up some of that shadow inventory we've mentioned many times on this podcast. And I just think it gives a chance for the economy to pump again. If developers can move those units, they can start to plan some projects. They might want to build again, and then the whole market opens up again. So, that might be a little bit of a dream maybe that we're going to get these foreign buyers. I think economically the world is under quite a bit of pressure, but I'm just trying to kind of think when you ask me what a possible disruptor could be, it maybe will be that foreign buyer ban lifting.
Yeah, I worry a tiny bit about the midterm elections in the States, and not what the outcome is, but the distraction, the negative distraction.
Yeah, the hesitancy that all elections have.
Well, and just like how vicious it all is, right? So I do worry that that's a distraction that could impact negatively people's impression of the world right now.
Elections always have a way of making people pause.
That's such a good point, Patti.
Last question for the segment. Looking back March, April, May, do we think we're seeing a market bottom forming, or is this just a period of prolonged stability and people can kind of predict what's going to happen in the future? Is there more calmness, or is this the bottom?
Adam's asking us if we have a crystal ball.
Tell me what's going to happen in the market. I don't know what to
do. Yeah.
You know what? It's hard to say, because I think that if we do see a surge in inventory and then that puts some downward pressure on pricing, there might be a couple more percentage points. But, I think we've talked about this. There's already been a huge shift. And this idea of a real bottom, there's only one bottom. And you can't see it until you're at least probably you're 6 months out to then see those data points form again. So I think the key point for people to take away here is that we have seen an incredible price adjustment. So prices are down. And in most cases, I would tell you they're probably down about 10%, right? Over the market. Some markets there in the Valley, I think that's a different story. I mean, we are not experts in the Valley, but my understanding from reading the stats, it seems even down more. So is it a bottom? I don't know, but has there been a lowering of prices? Absolutely.
Yeah. And trying to time markets for a true bottom. Only one person's that smart.
Well, and don't forget, if you're buying
the
at the
upward
bottom,
trajectory starts again.
yeah, and if you're buying at the bottom, and this is the thing that I'm trying to, always educate our clients about, is if you're buying at the bottom, you're probably selling at the bottom as well, because it's happening within, 2 to 3 months, and markets don't shift in a week. Like, they take a little bit of time. So, okay, so you're selling at the bottom. Well, who cares? Because you're buying there too.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Amazing insight. I think that's a lot of information for this month. Any of our guests out there, please comment on the video. Please share the video with any friends, family, colleagues that could benefit from this type of information. And we hope to see you again next month.